Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I hesitate to contradict my ranking member, but there were actually
Ms. Schakowsky is now recognized.
more Democrats who voted for the NAFTA revision than Republicans. Just keep the record straight. But I do appreciate you and Mr. Higgins laying out what the facts are regarding whether or not somehow the economy is some sort of rapid decline as a result of 29 months of the Biden administration. There have, in fact, been more jobs created, 13 million additional jobs compared to the miserable experience that we had under the 4 years of the previous president. Those are facts that can be verified. We have 28 consecutive months of job growth under the failed policies of President Biden. Doesn't seem to make sense. We are at historic low record of unemployment. And for Black Americans, it is an all-time record. Hardly the characteristics of failed policies. To the contrary, in terms of growth, in terms of jobs, those are examples of where it is in fact working. And as have been pointed out here before this panel, problems of inflation are not unique to the United States, but in fact, the record of the United States is that we have done a better job of dealing with inflation than the other major economies around the world. I mean, again, Germany, France, Italy, United Kingdom have experienced far more unemployment than inflation than we have. And I would suggest that it's important to try and put this, we can go ahead on our rhetorical flourishes and talk about theories about what would work or what not, and make rhetorical attacks based on socialist policies and communism and other delusional theories. But the fact is, our democracy and its economy are doing better than any other major economy in the world. And it's time that we'll be able to reflect on the performance of the Biden administration. It seems to me, as we're talking about taxation and generating revenues, I am saddened to say that my colleagues, when they got their hands on the levers of power and be able to advance policies, one of the first policies they advanced would increase the deficit by slashing enforcement of our taxes. Now, we can debate about what the right level is and who should pay it, but I think it is unconvertible that people should pay the taxes they owe now under the existing system. And those of you who purport to represent small business, I would think that you would want to make sure that they are protected by making sure that people who owe taxes pay what they are responsible for doing. That should not be an item of contention. The lowest and less, the tax system that has the least friction is collecting the taxes that are already due and are not being paid. And sadly, the evidence is the further up the food chain you get, the richer you are, the larger the corporations, they have less compliance, not more. We ought to embrace those investments to inject a sense of fairness so that they are not disadvantaged by people who cheat. That is not in anybody's interest. Finally, it seems to me that the recent proposal from my Republican colleagues to gut the inflation reduction proposals to incent investments in alternative energy, which are working. There are billions of dollars that are being committed, largely in red states, to take advantage of those provisions. And it's sad that the majority wants to strip those out of the tax code. mercifully, they won't be successful, and they shouldn't be, because they're working for the American people. Thank you, and I yield back.